Hello and welcome back everyone. My name is Dalit Soni and you are watching Target Prelims 2026 revision with MCQ series by Drishti IAS. In last episode we have discussed some MCQs from geography section. There are already 2 episodes which are out and this is the third episode wherein we will discuss some more questions from the geography section. Okay. So let's start with the discussion. We will be starting with the question number 1. Here you can say question number 1 says that consider the following statement with regard to the southwest monsoon in India. Statement 1 says that the Arabian Sea branch causes heavy rainfall along the western Ghats but create a rain shadow effect over the interior Maharashtra, Karnataka and Telangana. Okay. Now, in the last episodes, we have discussed some of the important factors related to the climates like El Nino we have discussed the Indian Ocean dipole, etc. Now, one more important aspect with respect to India's climatology becomes the Indian monsoon, that is also known as the southwest monsoon. Considering it is originating from the southwest, that brings rains into India. That is why we call it southwest monsoon. That is very much important for your prelims as well. Now, see, the statement says that the Arabian Sea branch causes heavy rainfall along the western Ghats. Obviously, we know that this is how our coastline looks. And here we know that this is your western Ghats which are located over here. Now, when we are talking about the southwest monsoon, this is coming something like this across into India. This will first hit the Kerala coast, and because of the presence of the western Ghats, what happens is that most of the rain you will be seeing that will happen over here, and then this is how the monsoon goes into India. Okay. Now, this region over here, this region particularly, that is basically Vidarbha region, Marathwada region, this region remains out of the rain zone, and that is called as the rain shadow region or rain shadow area. Okay. So they are basically saying that because this is the southwestern Arabian Sea branch which is entering, and because of the western Ghats that blocks it and that gives a different direction to the monsoon over here, this area over here remains rain shadowed. Okay. So Maharashtra, Karnataka and Telangana, these are some of the regions which are basically rain shadowed from the Arabian Sea branch. Okay. We will see what is Arabian Sea branch and what is the other branch which we are referring. So statement 1 is correct over here. Coming to the second one, the Bay of Bengal branch splits near the eastern Himalayas, bringing heavy rain to the northeast and decreasing rainfall westward along the Ganga plain. Now, if we are talking about the other branch, which is the Bay of Bengal branch, okay. Now, that splits near the eastern Himalayas. When we talk about the eastern Himalayas, that is basically the Purvanchal Himalayas we are referring to. Okay. So, here in this picture, you can see this is the Bay of Bengal branch. We are talking about the southwest monsoon. See, this is originating from the southwest. In the last lecture, we have talked about the naming of the winds as well. So, the place from which they are originating, the direction from which they are originating, and that is how we name them. So, this is southwest monsoon. Okay. Now, this is your Arabian Sea branch. These are the western Ghats, and because of the western Ghats present, this will go like this, and these areas will become rain shadowed. Okay. That is Maharashtra, Telangana and some parts of Karnataka. Okay. Now, talking about the Bay of Bengal branch, so this is also coming from the southwestern monsoon, and this is the branch, and here it diverts into 2 parts. Okay. It splits into 2 different directions. So, this is the one part which, since it is having moisture from the Bay of Bengal, it hits into the the hills which are there around Garo, Khasi, Jaintia, etc. And then they puts, or you can say brings the rain over here. You must be seeing that there are areas like Mansivram, Cherrapunji, etc. These are one of the wettest area in India. So that is why you will be seeing that this area receives heavy rainfall from the Bay of Bengal branch. Now, this is the second branch of this particular, or you can say second sub branch of this branch, that is going into the northern plains. Okay. Now, over here, since it is in connection with the sea over here, so monsoon will be having or you can say these branches will be having high moisture in this particular area. So you will be seeing that in the areas of Bihar you will be having rainfall during this particular time, and then moving westward slowly they will be losing the humidity, they will be losing the moisture over here, and westward we will be seeing that the rainfall will be decreasing. Okay, so that is what is written in this particular statement. The Bay of Bengal branch splits near the eastern Himalayas, which we have seen, these are the eastern Himalayas. Okay, bringing heavy rainfall to the northeast region, which we have already talked about, decreasing rainfall westward along the Ganga plains. If we are going this direction, that is the westward direction, the rainfall will be decreasing. So this is about your bifurcation of the southwest monsoon. There are two branches of the southwest monsoon. One is your Arabian Sea branch and second is your Bay of Bengal branch. Okay, I hope that is clear. Now let's move further. If we are talking about these two statements, both the statements are true here. Option C would be your right answer. Okay. Now let's move further to the next question. Here you can go through the explanation which I have given. I already talked about the areas like Maharashtra and Karnataka, Telangana, specifically speaking the Vidarbha and the Marathwada region. Okay. You can go through this particular slide over here for your understanding, which I have already talked about. I have already mentioned the places like Mansevaram and Cherrapunji. Okay. Now let's move further to the question number 2. Guyots are best described as which of the following? Now we are talking about Guyot. It is one of the feature, geographical or the physiological feature, you can say on the sea floor. Okay. Guyots are the best described as which of the following? First is flat-topped submerged volcanic mountain. Now, since I already mentioned to you that it is a feature from the sea floor, or you can say related to oceans, so that is one thing. Okay, so we can consider this particular option. Coming to the next one, that is cone-shaped hill formed by the coral deposition. Now, coral deposition is also related to the ocean or the seas, but we know that there are names like atoll, fringes. So these we have heard, but Guyot is not one of them. Okay. Coming to the third one, submarine trenches formed by the plate subduction. When we talk about the plate subduction, we have already discussed the sea floor spreading. We have talked about the plate tectonics in the last lecture. You can go through that. Now, when we talk about the plate subduction, we know that there are trenches which are formed. Okay, new crust is also created, but that is not considered as Guyot, which we have since we have already discussed that. So you must be knowing that we have not talked about anything like that. Okay. Now deep oceanic ridges formed by the sea floor spreading, that is also not there. So first one, option A, flat topped submerged volcanic mountains are called as Guyots. Okay. Now what is Guyot? Now we know that this is your ocean floor. Okay, this is the sea level. This is sea level. This is the floor of the ocean. Now there are certain mountains which are there. Okay, now the height differs. If the height is something like that. Okay, now if height goes beyond this, that becomes an island. Island is basically a mountain which is originating from the floor, but it is above the sea level. So this is your island. Now, depending on the nature of the mount, it can be a volcanic island as well. Okay, so this is an island. Now think about it. If it is a volcanic island, okay, this is your sea. This is a volcanic island. Okay, because it is outside, or you can say it is above the sea level, there can be weathering and erosion activities, wave action, and because of which the top part of it get eroded, and this is how it start to look. Okay, a flat table like structure, it start to look because of the wave action, the top part has been eroded. Okay, now if because of any reason, if the sea level is rising, okay, or this particular island or this particular sea mount gets subsumed under the sea level, so this is how it would look, something like this. It has subsumed under the sea level. Now this is how it looks. Now this structure, which is having a table like top, and it is submerged within the water or the sea level, that is called as the Guyot. Okay, now this is called as Guyot. So option A is your right answer, flat top submerged volcanic mountain. Okay, now there are other things which are also related to it, we will discuss that. So this is your ocean floor. We have talked about the mid-oceanic ridges where sea floor spreading happens. We have already discussed that. Okay, now whenever there is a divergent boundary, okay, where you will be seeing a sea floor spreading. Now if there is a convergent boundaries, we will be seeing trenches. We have talked about Mariana Trench, etc. So these are called as trenches. These are the you can say deep structures which are there. Okay, now this is continental slope, continental shelf, which all are part of your you can say physiography of the ocean. Now if we are looking at this, this is an island which is outside the sea level. This is a volcanic island. Obviously it is a volcanic sea mount or volcanic island. Now if it start to get eroded and becomes a flat surface like structure which is submerged under the water, that is called as geot. Okay, so that is about this. Now other than that, this is the volcanic mountain. Okay, now you can see it is surrounded by the water. Now if it starts to have some kind of coral deposition around it. Okay, so if you can see, if there is an island like this and coral starts to get deposited over here, so you can see there is a structure that is called as the barrier reef. Okay, that is something how like this it will happen. Now this can the corals might start to deposit over here and will not be having any kind of you can say water or you can say gap over here. Okay, so that is the coral deposition. But if this island starts to submerge, these corals are already over here and island starts to submerge, so you will be seeing that there will be something like this. Now since coral was already here and there is a gap, so water will come and fill the gap over here. So you will be seeing, if you are having a top view, you will be having a barrier kind of structure which will be there. Okay, so this is your island, then there is water, and then this is the coral reef which has been made over here, that is called as barrier reef. Okay, now if this island totally submerged into the water, then you will be seeing that there is only a reef like structure which is there, that is called as lagoon. Okay, so this is something you should know. And we have already talked about the sea mounts which are there. Geot we have already discussed. Okay, now there are different kind of coral reefs which are given over here. When I told you about this structure, that is called as fringing reef. Okay, there is no water, this is totally having contact with the island, this is called as fringing reef. Okay, if there is a water between the reef structure and the island, that is called as barrier reef. Okay, and if the you can say sea mount has been submerged, then it will be called as atoll, and this interior part will be called as lagoon. Okay, that water body will be called as lagoon and this reef will be called as atoll. Okay, I hope that is clear. We have already discussed the question. Now we can move further to the next question. Explanation is given over here. You can go through this or take a screenshot. Okay, let's move to the third question, that is, consider the following statement. Andaman and Nicobar Island are separated by a water body known as the 10-degree channel. Now this is a fact, you should remember. So this statement is correct. Coming to the second one, the Barren Island is the only active volcano in India. Now there is this myth that if the statements are extreme, you can eliminate them, but you should be knowing that there are certain exceptions, there are certain facts which are important, like this, that Barren Island is the only active volcano in India that is also under the Andaman and Nicobar chain. Okay, so this statement is also correct. Now moving to the third one, the Lakshadweep Islands are the volcanic origin and located in the Bay of Bengal. Okay, so you know that if we talk about the location of the islands, this is where you have Lakshadweep and here we have the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Okay, so Andaman and Nicobar Islands are in Bay of Bengal and Lakshadweep are in Arabian Sea. So this particular part becomes incorrect. Okay, so that makes the statement incorrect. Other than that also, when we talk about the Lakshadweep Islands, that is of volcanic origin, no, this is not of volcanic origin, this is of coral origin. We have discussed this particular part over here. Okay, so these islands are of coral origin. Okay, so here you can say statement 3 is wrong, 1 and 2 is correct. So option B would be your right answer over here. Okay, now let's see the explanation over here. Location I have already discussed that this is how our coastal line look. Okay, and here you can say this is Arabian Sea and Lakshadweep is over here and then Bay of Bengal is over here. Now when we talk about Andaman and Nicobar Islands, so Andaman and Nicobar is separated by a 10-degree channel. Okay, so that is given over here. Now if we talk about the expanse of Lakshadweep or Lakadweep, that is basically from 8 degree to 12 degree. Okay, so here there will be 8-degree channel and then 12-degree channel over here. So this is about it. Here India has two major island group, that is Andaman and Nicobar Island group in the Bay of Bengal and Lakshadweep in Arabian Sea, the islands differ in their geological origin, physical features and location. Now here you can see Andaman and Nicobar. If you look at the chain over here, you will be seeing that there is a 10-degree channel which is separating the Nicobar Islands and the Andaman Islands. Okay. So here you can see Andaman and Nicobar Islands are divided into two broad groups, that is Andaman in the north and Nicobar in the south. They are separated by a stretch of sea known as the 10-degree channel, which runs approximately along the 10-degree latitude, which makes sense. Okay. This is the same thing which is written over here. Now talking about the barren island, since it is part of your Andaman group over here, this is barren island. So here you can see barren island is located somewhere over here in the Andaman group of islands, and here you can say this is extending from the Myanmar, and then this is Sumatra. Okay, so that is how it is. This is strategic, you can say. Okay, now here you can say barren island situated in Andaman Sea. It is only active volcano in India. This is a fact which is quite important for you, and UPSC in the past has asked about this island. Okay, that makes it more important for you. It represents a part of submerged volcanic mountain chain that extends from Myanmar to Sumatra, indicating the tectonic activity in this region. Okay, so these regions are volcanically active. Now moving to the third part, that is your Lakshadweep. Okay. So here, when we talk about the Lakshadweep, I already told you that the expanse is from 8 degree to 12 degree. Okay. And now when we are talking about the different islands, so there is one is your Lakshadweep, and then there is Minicoy. Now these are separated by a 9-degree channel. Okay. So there is a 10-degree channel, there is a 9-degree channel which you should be noting down. Okay. Now Lakshadweep islands are located in Arabian Sea, which already discussed, between 8 to 12, and it are of coral origin and not volcanic. They are built upon the ancient submerged volcanic peaks, but consist mainly of the coral deposits. You must have seen that when we are talking about from the tourist point of view or tourism point of view, the Lakshadweep is the area where you will be finding coral reefs as well. Okay, so considering that, you can say that these are of coral origin. Okay, now we have already discussed the answer over here. Option B is your right answer. 1 and 2, third is wrong. Now we can move further to the next question. Question number 4 says that consider the following statement. Spring tide occurs when the sun, moon and the earth are aligned in a straight line. Second is neap tide occurs when the sun, moon are at the right angle to each other with respect to the earth. Now since you must have read about all these things, so both the statements are correct. Now when we talk about the locations or the tides, we will be discussing that the tides are the periodic rise and fall of the sea level caused by the gravitational interactions. Now when we are talking about the order in which they are located, the celestial bodies like sun, moon and earth, why their location matters? Because these are having gravitational, these are having gravitational pull and push, and because of which it has an effect on the tides. Okay, so here you can see the tides are the periodic rise and fall of the sea levels caused by the gravitational interaction between the earth, moon and sun. The relative positioning of these celestial bodies determines the type and magnitude of the tides. Now if we look at the position, you will be understanding that if sun is here, moon is here, earth is here. Okay, now both sun and moon are pulling this water in this particular direction, so you will be seeing that there will be a spring tide. Okay, now if we are talking about the moon, again moon can have two different positions. One can be on the new moon, second can be on the full moon. Full moon and new moon are the situations wherein earth, sun and moon are in the same straight line. Okay, so here you can say the linear alignment during the full moon or the new moon, gravitational forces combined together resulting in the greatest tidal range. Since their gravitational pull are combined together, they will be having a maximum high and low tides. Okay, high tide will be over here, okay, and maximum low tide will be over here. Okay, now coming to this particular tides are called as the spring tides. Okay, now talking about the neap tides. Now since you know that moon is revolving around the earth, so once it was in this position and it will move to this particular position. Now if we are having this position, so you can see that it is at the right angle with respect to earth. The sun and moon's relative positions are at right angle, and because of which it will have minimum gravitational pull. Okay, now since they were at the moon is also exerting a force on the earth's sea water. Sun was also exerting the force, so this force was combined. Now in this particular case, moon will be exerting a force over here, sun will be exerting a force in this direction, so the tides will be there, but they will be having that, they will not be having that much of the magnitude. Okay, now perpendicular alignment during the quarter phase, gravitational pull opposes each other, resulting in the lowest tidal ranges. So this is how, that is how you define a spring tide and the neap tide. Okay, so when the sun, moon and earth aligns in a straight line, their combined gravitational forces produce spring tide, which we have already discussed. These occurs during the full moon and the new moon phases, resulting in the greatest tides range, that is very high tide and very low tide. So very low tide and very high tide. So I already told you in this particular case where moon is new moon, this will be having very low tide. Okay, and in this particular case it will be having very high tide. Now coming to the next one, that is when the sun and moon are at the right angle with respect to the earth, their gravitational pull opposes each other, leading to the neap tides. These occurs during the first and the third quarters of the lunar months and produces lowest tidal range with moderate high and the low tides. Okay, so this is about the you can say your spring tides and the neap tides. Both the statements are correct. Option C would be your right answer. Okay, now let's move further to the question number 5. Consider the following statement: the Meghalaya and the Karbi Anglong plateaus are considered extensions of the main peninsular block. Now when we talk about the peninsular block, this looks something like this. Okay, and then over here again we have the northeast region. This is your you can say Meghalaya plateau. Okay, now Karbi Anglong is somewhere over here. This is the extension. Now here you can see this is your Deccan traps, or you can say this is the you can say the plateau region of the peninsula. Now here you will be having a gap, that is Garo Rajmahal gap. Okay, now the reason why this particular block of the plateau and these are having same in nature, or you can say these are of the extension, because we know that this particular part has been coming from another plate and strike with the Eurasian plate and forming the Himalayas. Now during the formation of Himalayas, these kind of activities has happened and there was a gap which has been created. Now that gap is basically you can say filled with the alluvial deposits of the river. Okay, but you can say these are two same blocks, or you can say the northeastern plateaus are basically extensions of the Deccan plateau or the peninsular block. Okay, so here you can say Meghalaya and the Karbi Anglong plateaus are considered extension of the main peninsular block. This statement is correct. Now coming to the next one, the Meghalaya plateau is rich in minerals resources like coal, iron, limestone and the uranium. Now that makes sense, because when we were talking about this particular thing, okay, so over here we know that this is the Chota Nagpur plateau. Okay, that is rich in minerals. Now this part is extension of this block, so we can say that yes, this is also rich in mineral. Okay, so this statement is also correct. Now coming to the next part, that is the Garo, Khasi and Jaintia hills are the subdivision of the Karbi Anglong plateau. Now this statement is not true, because when we are talking about this particular part, so this Meghalaya plateau, okay, that is divided into, or the Shillong plateau or Meghalaya plateau, that is divided into Garo, Khasi and Jaintia hills. Okay, and then there is an extension over here, or you can say in the Assam region we have that particular plateau, that is Karbi Anglong plateau. Okay, so these are the subdivision of the Shillong plateau or the Meghalaya plateau and not the Karbi Anglong. Okay, so this statement is incorrect. 1 and 2 is correct. Option C would be your right answer over here. Now here you can see this is the location. I already told you that this peninsular block is there, and you can see this is the extension of this block only. Now this is the gap. Okay, this is the Garo Rajmahal gap, or this particular gap is there, and now this gap has been filled with the alluvial deposits. Okay, and now this is how you can say that this is basically an extension of the plateau which is present over here in the peninsular block. Okay, second part was there, this is the Chota Nagpur plateau, and this is your Meghalaya and Shillong or the Karbi Anglong plateau. Now composition is quite similar, that is why this particular portion is also rich in minerals. This is also rich in minerals. Okay, the northeastern plateau is geologically an extension of the main peninsular plateau. It was formed due to the northwestward movement of the Indian plate during the formation of Himalayas, which created a depression between the Rajmahal hills and the Meghalaya plateau. Later, the depression was filled by the riverine deposits, that is alluvial deposit, or you can say riverine deposit, whatever that has been bought by the rivers like Brahmaputra, Ganga, etc., resulting in the present day Meghalaya and the Karbi Anglong Plateau that now stands detached from the main peninsular block, which we have already discussed. Now here you can see this is your Shillong Plateau, this is the Karbi Anglong Plateau. Okay, this is somewhere in Assam. Some parts of it is in Assam. This is mostly in Meghalaya. Now here there is a division. These are the Garo, Khasi and Jaintia hills. These are the hills which are named after the local tribes over there. Okay. Now here you can see Meghalaya Plateau, similar to the Chota Nagpur Plateau, is rich in minerals, resources like coal, iron ore, limestone, uranium, etc. The Meghalaya Plateau is subdivided into Garo, Khasi, Jaintia hills, each named after the tribal communities inhabiting over there. These are not parts of the Karbi Anglong Plateau, which lies further in the east of Assam. Okay. Now we can move further to the next question, that is question number 6. Which one of the following factors is primarily responsible for the high salinity observed in the enclosed seas such as the Red Sea? Now when we talk about the enclosed sea, let's say if there is an open sea, you can see that there will be a mixing of water. Okay. So let's say if there is some area, this is the area which is having high salinity. Sorry. This is an area which is having high salinity. Now since it is an open sea, there will be water coming from this direction over here, and then there will be a mixing. That means that the salinity of this particular region can get declined. Okay. So in the areas which are open or open seas, you will be seeing that there will be mixing. But if see you are having an enclosed kind of structure like Red Sea, so in that region mixing will not be possible, one thing. Second thing is, if this particular enclosed area is getting any kind of fresh water, then you can see that there might be a decrease in the salinity. But if it is not getting any fresh water sources are, fresh water is coming from mainly from two things. One is your precipitation, second would be of rivers which are getting into it. Okay. So if that is there, you can see that there can be a reduction in the salinity. But when we talk about the Red Sea region, we know that there is a scarcity of rainfall in that area. Mostly it is desert. And second thing, since it is desert, there are very few rivers which are present over there, and because of which you will be seeing that the fresh water availability is almost negligible. Okay. So there is low precipitation, first part in the Red Sea area, low precipitation, and negligible, you can say, rivers which are bringing fresh water. Okay. Third thing is that Red Sea is in the tropical region. Red Sea is in the tropical region, because of which insolation is high. Since insolation is high, so you know that there will be evaporation. Now since it is a sea water, if water is getting evaporated, the what remains over there is salts. Okay, salts and minerals. And if the concentration of salts and minerals is high, that means that we are having high salinity in the region. Okay, so let's see the options. So question is asking you about the factors which are responsible for the high salinity of the Red Sea area. Okay, so high precipitation and the river inflow, which is almost negligible, so that is why this is incorrect. High rate of evaporation and low fresh water inflow, which we have already seen. So option B can be a right answer, but we cannot neglect the other. You should read the options and then come to a conclusion. So continuous mixing with the oceanic current. If the sea was open, that can be your answer. Okay, that reduces the salinity, not answer, but it can reduce the salinity, and that will not be responsible for the high salinity. So this is also your incorrect option. Then low atmospheric pressure and high humidity. When we talk about the low pressure areas, you know that there will be precipitation. Okay, mostly cyclonic activity happens in the low pressure area that leads to precipitation, and then it will also reduce the salinity. Okay, and not increase it. So this cannot be your answer, this cannot be your answer, this cannot be your answer. Option B is your right answer over here. Okay, so here I have given you a diagram. So whenever there is high salinity, okay, you will be seeing that the evaporation is high, fresh water is less, or you can say precipitation is less, when we are talking, and the mixing is also less. Okay. Now if we are talking about the other part, that is low salinity, mostly in the regions like Baltic seas, etc., you will be seeing that high volume from the river which is coming into it. So fresh water is coming through the rivers. Second would be precipitation in that region will be high and mixing will be good. Okay. So these are the factors behind the low salinity. Okay. Now let's move further. We have already discussed that why it is why is that your answer is B, because of the different factors like evaporation, precipitation, river discharge and the oceanic circulations which we have discussed. Now whatever we have discussed, that is given in the text form, you can take a screenshot or read it later. Okay. Now let's move further. Question number 7. Which of the following rivers are left bank tributaries of the Ganga river? Now if river is, you can say river is moving in this particular direction. Okay. So whatever you can say tributaries are coming from the right side, that is your right bank territory. Whatever tributaries are coming from the left side, this is your left bank tributary. Okay. Now if in case of Ganga, we will be seeing Yamuna, Ghagra, Gandak or Kosi. We have to see that which is the left bank tributaries over here. Okay. So if you look at this particular picture, you will be seeing that when we are talking about Ganga, this is moving in this particular direction. Okay. So rivers like Yamuna, which are coming from this region and entering into Ganga like this at Allahabad. Okay, that is Prayagraj. Okay. Now talking about the rivers like Gandak, Ghagra and Kosi, these are coming from this direction. That is basically your left bank tributaries. This is right bank. Okay. So Ghagra, Kosi and Gandak. Okay. In this particular diagram, this is a flow chart kind of thing which is given. So this Gangotri is there and this is how Ganga goes. Okay. So here you can see Yamuna river is coming from the right side. So this is the right bank tributary, and rivers like here Gomti, Ghagra, Gandak, Budi Gandak, Kosi, etc. These are coming from the left side. So these are your left bank tributaries. Here you can see Yamuna is right bank. So Ghagra, Gandak and Kosi is left bank tributaries. 2, 3 and 4 is your right answer. That is option D would be your right answer over here. There is nothing much to discuss in this particular you can say question. Here in the explanation part, you can go through it. Their origins are also given, like Yamuna is from Yamunotri, here Gandak is rising from the Himalayas of Nepal, etc. Kosi is coming from the Mount Everest region or the Tibetan region. Okay, there are 3 streams, Arun Kosi, Sun Kosi and Tamur Kosi. These enters into forming into Sapt Kosi, and then that becomes the left bank tributary of Ganga. Okay, now I have taken a liberty to put the Himalayan rivers and the Peninsular rivers and their difference over here. You can go through it. That can be important from your prelims point of view. That is why I have put it here. Okay. Now let's see question number 8. The Black Sea is bordered by which of the following countries? Now this is a very simple question, and that is important as well, considering the Russia-Ukraine issue. That can be asked. UPSC has asked about it earlier as well. So that is why it becomes important. So if we are talking about this question, obviously Russia and Ukraine would be there in the answer. So here you can see Georgia, Turkey, Bulgaria and Romania are the countries which are basically surrounding the Black Sea. Okay, so that option A would be your right answer. Here in this particular diagram you can see, or sorry, in this particular image you can see Ukraine is there, and this is the Crimean Peninsula. This is also in you can say since 2014 this is also a point of conflict. Okay. Then here you can see this Crimean Peninsula and this Russian mainland here, that is connected with this Kerch Strait. So that should also be noted by you. That is Sea of Azov, that is also important for you. Then this is Black Sea. Now here you can say Ukraine is there, Russia is there, Georgia is there, Turkey is there, Bulgaria is there and Romania is there. So these are the countries having borders with the Black Sea. Here you can say this is Caucasus Mountains. These are also important, you should remember. Okay. Now if we are talking about the extension of over here this water body, the Aegean Sea is there, which is you can say connected with the Black Sea with the Sea of Marmara. Okay, you must have heard about the Bosphorus Strait, that is also important for you. Now Black Sea is bordered by Ukraine in the north here, Russia in the northeast over here, Georgia to the east, that is Georgia, Turkey to the south, this is Turkey to the south, and Bulgaria and Romania to the west, which we have already discussed. Now you can go through this particular statements over here which we have discussed already. Now question number 9, with reference to the Caspian Sea, consider the following statement. It is world's largest inland water body. Okay, that is one. Second is the Volga river along with the Ural drains into the northern parts. Now both the statement over here are true for you. If you have not read about it, you can read about the Caspian Sea. Option C is your right answer. When we talk about UPSC's previous year questions, so Black Sea, Caspian Sea, you can say the Red Sea, these are some of the important you can say aspects which has been covered by UPSC again and again. So you should focus more on that. Okay. Now if we talk about the Caspian Sea over here, these are the countries which are there: Russia, Kazakhstan, Azerbaijan, Turkmenistan, Iran. Okay. Now here you can see the Caspian Sea is the world's largest enclosed inland body of water situated between Europe and the Central Asia. Since when we are talking about the this particular side, that is Asia, and this side is basically your you can say Europe. Okay. Now here you can say despite being called as a sea. Now obviously this is a misnomer which is there, that it is called as sea, but it is not a sea, it is a lake. Okay, that you should remember. Despite being called as a sea, it is technically a salt water lake. Now it is enclosed lake, that means that there can be a high possibility that it can be a salt water lake, okay, which we have already discussed while discussing the salinity, okay, which is having a geological links with the Black Sea and the Mediterranean Sea. Okay. Now we are talking about this particular thing, that is once it had geological links. Okay. Now when we are talking about the rivers which are draining into it, here you can say there is a Volga river, then Ural river which is there. Now there are other small rivers like you can say Terek river, Sulak river, which are coming from the western side. So Volga, Ural and Terek rivers are discharging water in the northern region into the Caspian Sea, that is contributing nearly 88% of the total water flow which is coming into the Caspian. And other than that, there are rivers like Sulak, Samur, Kura, these are from the western side. Okay. Now last question, question number 10. The Strait of Gibraltar connects which of the following water bodies? Mediterranean Sea and the Atlantic Sea, Red Sea and Arabian Sea, Black Sea and the Aegean Sea, Caspian Sea and the Mediterranean Sea. Option A is your right answer, that is Mediterranean Sea and the Atlantic Sea. Okay. Now these are the areas where you can look that if there is a strait which is connecting these regions. So you can see an answer to me in the comment box. Other than that, option A is your right answer. Over here you can see this is the Spain. This is the you can say Europe's southern part, or Spain's southern part is basically this, and Morocco, this is the African continent, and between these we have a Strait of Gibraltar. Here you can see this side we have Atlantic Ocean, this side we have you can say Mediterranean Sea. Okay. So this is about the Strait of Gibraltar. Now why is that it is called as Strait of Gibraltar? Because over here you can say Gibraltar was the area which was owned by UK, and that is why this is called as Strait of Gibraltar. Now if we are talking about this particular, you can say the western extension of Mediterranean Sea, that is known as the Albaran Sea. Okay. So that is where you can say that the Strait of Gibraltar is connecting Albaran and the Atlantic Ocean. Okay. The Strait of Gibraltar is a narrow water body situated between the southern tip of the Spain and the northern coast of the Morocco. It forms the western extremities of the Mediterranean Sea, linking it to the Atlantic Ocean. The strait separates the Atlantic Ocean from the Albaran Sea, which we have already seen. This part is basically your Albaran Sea. This is given over here. The strait separates the Atlantic Ocean from the Albaran Sea, westernmost part of the Mediterranean. It has historically served as a major maritime route connecting Europe, Africa, Asia, and remain vital for the global trade even now. Okay. So this is about it, and in the end there is a practice question which is given. Question says that consider the following crops: wheat, gram, mustard, groundnut, rapeseed. How many of these are Rabi crop? You can go through this and answer to me in the comment box. With that, I would like to take your leave. If you have not watched the earlier episodes like episode 1 and 2 of geography, other than that also we are coming up with different episodes with respect to history, polity, science and etc. If you have not started watching it, start watching it, because this is very crucial time where you can practice your MCQs and this is kind of a revision. Okay, so you can go through that. With that, I would like to take your leave. Please don't forget to subscribe the channel. Thank you. Have a nice day.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.